I'm Stan DeFreitas, Mr. Greenthumb, and you are...
And I'm James DeFreitas, and each and every week we talk about gardening and real estate, so we're so glad that you've decided to tune in and join us. And of course, I always like to take a little bit of time and remind folks that we do have a silent auction that's coming up. It's at 1900 59th Avenue North, Unit 216 in St. Petersburg. It is a 55 and up community, but it's absolutely a great community. If you want to know more about this particular home, go to our website at floridaauctionteam.com. That's floridaauctionteam.com, Florida spelled out. You can go to our link contracts, or you can go to upcoming auction section, and you can actually submit your bid, register and submit your bid right there online without having to download the paperwork, to break out the pen, write it in, scan it, and fax it back. I mean, that's just a pain. Who wants to do that? We've made it easy.
I like we made it simple.
We've made it simple, so that's what we recommend people do. It's a great little community. Recommend people go do that, and if you want to know more, you can always give us a call. If you have questions, you can reach me at James DeFreitas at 727-423-4794. Actually, that's your number, and then my number is 254-7127. Of course, a 727 area code, so 727-254-7127, and we will tell you all about it if you have questions, and we've got you
and to me, it's a great deal. Maybe one of the best deals in Pinellas County. I mean, somebody called me the other day and said, well, I don't know, my client wants to offer a lot less. And I said, do you think you can find a place that's this nice for less in Pinellas? Now, if you want to move up to the Georgia-Florida line, maybe. But, they wanted to get something just super, super cheap. And I said, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's got, the amenities. It's got gas for the stove, and that's paid for, part of your dues. It's got free basic cable, and it's got pickup for trash. For trash. So,
exactly. So it covers a lot of the expenses that you're going to have to pay no matter where you go.
And you're going to pay them somewhere, somehow.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So why not just pay that as part of your monthly due? I think it's a decent...
when you add it all up and you realize what you're not having to do, because you're just paying one flat fee and it takes care of those things. And let's face it, after you get to a point of retirement, how many things do you want to take care of? Maybe it's the time in your life where you let other folks take care of certain things and you just enjoy your life.
Yep, I would think for an older person, and I can consider myself still on the younger side, but all things are relative, because I will say time starts moving quicker, and all of a sudden you go, gosh,
what happened?
I was 20. What happened? I was 40. I was 60. So, time goes by, and you want a place that's quiet. And often folks don't want, they want to see the grandkids, but they want the quiet during the regular time of their existence, their life. This is a beautiful place. And
it might be right for you or your client. And I would mention, too, we are using a silent auction in this particular process. But that doesn't mean that your agent isn't going to get paid. If you have an agent who you're working with, they're going to get paid. And we're paying 2.5%, not 1%, like a lot of other auction companies use. So we'd like to make sure we're taking care of them. So that's something that I definitely want to point out. Another article I printed out that I thought was rather interesting, and it talks about, and again, for a lot of people that are not in the real estate business, you may not have ever heard of this term, but most of the folks that have been in the business a long time are very aware of something that's being used a lot as a tool right now in this particular real estate market, and that, of course, is the use of an escalation clause. What's an escalation clause?
Good question.
Okay, well, an escalation clause is very, very interesting. What it does is, because all the listings that are happening right now, they're building in time in to try to make sure that they get the best and highest offer, even in non-auction listings. It's like we have little mini auctioneers taking place all over the country because we have so many people making offers on real estate. It kind of feels like an auction. So an escalation clause is an addendum that gets added onto a contract. And basically what it says is, if somebody comes in with an offer that's better than my offer, I'm willing to increase my offer to beat that offer by X amount of dollars, but not to exceed a certain amount. So in other words, it allows you to be a player in a transaction, even if you get outbid originally. Okay. And the same thing takes place in our bidder registration form. So I have a built-in escalation clause in our registration form that says, hey, if somebody places a bid on this particular unit, I would like to pay, let's say $1,000 more over their bid so that I can stay relevant in this particular home. And it allows you to be a player right from the start.
I think that's a beautiful thing. So we have a little bit of competition. I mean, that happens in traditional deals. I mean, I've heard recently somebody spending $100,000 more than the asking price on a house. We're talking a really nice house, but just because they wanted to win. And
sure.
You get into that competition.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's kind of where auctions, and anybody who's ever participated in stuff auctions. So I find we have a lot of people that have participated in stuff auctions. Very few have actually participated in real estate auctions. But again, one of the things that I would say is that anybody that has bought stuff in an auction process, whether that's on eBay or other places, auctions sometimes can take on a life of their own when they get competitive bidding. All of a sudden it becomes, I want to win over what makes sense. And again, from a seller's perspective, that's exactly what we want. We want them to sit back and get excited about the process and have competitive bidding, because then the price can start to go up, and that's always good for the client. Not always great for the buyer, but it's good for the client. But again, we always say that's fair market value. And again, what is fair market value?
What the buyer is willing to, accept or going to offer, and what the seller says, I will accept that price.
Exactly. So basically what it is that, it is a price that a buyer is willing to pay at a price that a seller is willing to accept.
And usually there's some negotiation in between.
Right. And sometimes in an auction, and this happens a lot in stuff auctions as well, sometimes the second bidder that didn't come in the highest is the most important person in the room, because the first bidder all of a sudden starts getting jitters.
Sure.
Maybe they decided they put that card up, their bidder paddle up, and they shouldn't have. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I really meant it. I know I put it up high in the air, and you called my bid. However, I didn't really mean it. Well, what happens typically in the real world is you go to the second highest bidder and find out if they would like to match what that person offered. If not, then it's back to a negotiation process.
Sure.
So, never get rid of your second and third highest bidders ever if you're in an auction business, because they can become the reason for the season as to getting something sold and handled. So, I think that's an interesting thing to talk a little bit about, making sure that people understand an escalation clause. Hadn't been used a whole lot in the past, hadn't had a need to use it in the past, but now it's becoming exceedingly relevant.
And one of the things we do, of course, is we advertise here on the radio about the property, which means I think you ought to give the address again for the auction coming up, the silent auction. It is probably the best deal, I think, going in Pinellas as far as price for what you get. And it is concrete.
Exactly. And again, if people want to go and take a look at the home, it is at 1900 59th Avenue North, Unit 216 in St. Petersburg, Florida, 33714. And of course, it's in MLS. It's on Realtor.com. It's on every major site across the country. And of course, it's in our local MLS as well, which is, you say local MLS, but I think it covers 13 counties or something. It goes out quite a wide swath.
Sure.
And and if you want to know more directly, you can of course go to our website at FloridaAuctionTeam.com. That's Florida spelled out, FloridaAuctionTeam.com, and you can go to our upcoming auctions link, which is a section on the main page, and you can learn more about this particular silent auction. You can register and bid directly from this link that's on our website, which is a handy dandy, wonderful thing. You should go check that out.
Let me mention to folks right now, too, we all needed water, and we prayed for water, and we received a lot of rain. Now, I'm seeing a lot of fungus out there on a lot of plants and in the lawn. And so, cut back on your sprinkler system if we're getting 2 or 3 rains during the week. You don't need to be watering on top of it. And you may need to have it sprayed, or you may need to spray it with a fungicide, because I'm seeing a lot of spotting in the blades of both plants and the turf. And some of those, like brown patch, will start to get larger and larger. Chinch bugs usually show up near the walkway, the driveway, where it's hot. The hotter it is, that's where they're going to be in the St. Augustine. But it also brings me to another point, and that is somebody said the other day, why don't we get rid of lawns and not have any? Well, how many, people out there, there's millions of people who get employed to help mow and edge. And what do you do with those fine folks if you take their work away?
Exactly. And not to mention, too, they're beautiful, and they are oxygen producers. So, and what if if you're mowing your yard with an electric mower? Well, maybe you're not using gas at that point. Can you believe it? Another hour has gone by.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, and we always enjoy people listening to our program.
Tell your neighbors and friends about our show each and every week right here on AM 860.